Hey everyone, welcome back to October Series 21. I have one more left after this, so let's just jump right into it. Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Please come into one of our webinars and coaching services. It's how you get access to the WhatsApp groups. It's a lot of fun. You know, each group has around 100 to 150 people, different flavors, no rhyme or right reason why we add people to certain groups. Just the community there's really nothing like it. And it's very moderated, so no reassurance. All the moderators are in there. We explain why, and that's what makes it a lot different. So there's some things in here that I think are excellent that I have not talked about in a long time. So the first one is, my OCD is why I do well. Now, it may seem like that in certain ways, but that's not really the case. This individual, let's say from a testing perspective, they'll say, I put everything on hold in my life and I make sure I put all my focus into this one thing, whether it's a career thing, whether it's a test, whether it's an objective, and then they do really well. But there's a lot of cons. They put so many other things in their life on hold. They wouldn't do a couple things because of fear of magical thinking. What if I don't do this right and that messes my test scores up? So OCD is not the reason why you do well. It actually stops you from doing so many other things where you could do even better. Now, that's a complete uncertainty. We can't prove that. But it's very important. When most people say this to me, which I would say this stuff, it's why I'm so regimented. But I'm like, yeah, but if anything goes off plan, you have no ability to just go with the flow. And you melt. You collapse. You're the house on the hill with a mudslide with like straw framing. It's an illusion in many ways. Emptiness. Now, a lot of people, us specifically, talk about wearing anxiety and physical symptoms everywhere. It's usually around panic, groinal responses, shame, guilt. But there's also wearing the feelings of emptiness, which is the other side of the coin, loss of connection. It still has to be viewed the same way, why it's not the worst thing ever. Yes, you can prefer to have connection. Yes, you can prefer to feel happiness and joy. But if you put any expectations on the way you should or should not feel, you are in big motherfucking trouble. And I know this because all humans do this to some degree. I've heard it from many people I'm friends with. I didn't feel the way I wanted to on that vacation. I spent $8,000 saving for 2 years to go on that cruise or that safari. And blah, blah, blah. That's why you have the expectations. Hey, that's a lot different from, hey, look, I prefer to feel very happy if I went to this music festival, but if I don't feel the way that I want to, it's not the end of the world. Now, it takes time. Just telling yourself that isn't going to change it off the bat, but that's what it is. It's the same principle. Number 3 is a great one. Why is it back, relapses and spikes, and why is it back stronger? Now, there's different reasons for this. When you first come into OCD recovery, one of the angles is you read the first book, put some work in, use some exposures, and you think the journey is going to be linear. Just do, or even just like this, do. No, it's all over the place. And there's no rhyme or right reason because OCD has no rules. It has to spark the flame bigger and bigger along the journey to get you back into analyzing, to get you back into ruminating compulsively outside the automatic rumination, to get you back into problem solving, all that stuff, whatever you want to call it. And usually, when it comes back harder and stronger, is most people, not always, they've left it there and they've just coasted. No, I'm good. I have this. I'll message people. Hey, how you doing? No, I'm doing great. Work's going great. I'm just too busy to think about my OCD. I know that someday in the future, it might not be tomorrow, could be in 3 years, they will be messaging me melting. Fucking meltdown mode. Because OCD does not go away on its own. It typically gets worse and worse and worse. And which goes into the statements that so many people say is, it's so hard, it's so hard. We know it's difficult. I'm not saying you can't say that. We have compassion for when people say that stuff, but you got to realize that saying those statements over and over and over again. I don't believe it. It's funny, I don't believe in manifesting by any means, but I do believe that this could be considered manifesting. So I'm not sure. Yeah, it's interesting. If you say it's so hard over and over and over again, there is an element of that that's going into the subconscious mind, your belief systems, which brings really low frustration tolerance, which makes it harder and harder to get better. So it is important to be aware of that. And the difference between apprehension versus bringing it on, I feel very apprehensive. You have to get to a place to where the mindset, it's not delusion, fake positivity, where you're jumping on stage. Yeah, your life is amazing. Woo, you can do everything you put your mind to. That's all nonsense. Just pure nonsense. How do I know that? Because when these people go to these big seminars and I follow them 3 years later, if I was to do a study, I've said this many times in my videos, I'll put my whole life on it. Everything in my life, 99% of the people are exactly how they were, if not worse. Why would they be worse? Because they believed on that, you can do it all, you can do it, that their life would be magically better. No. It takes hard work, grit, and persistence. And I know these people that are on these stages, they believe that, but because their delivery is very poor, the other people don't know that. And because I've never heard any of these people talk about it. You know, there doesn't need to be a big seminar for this. It needs to be, hey, look, most of you are probably not going to change. Not that you can't, it's just really difficult to change because there's no guarantee. It takes a long time to change your belief system. Motivation and inspiration is very fleeting. It's cool, nothing inherently wrong with it, but doesn't really produce long-term results. Grit and consistency, showing up no matter how you feel. That doesn't sell sexy. That doesn't sell. It doesn't sell because it's not sexy. So the mindset of I'm going to bring it on no matter how I feel is very different than, you know, I'm going to bring it on because I'm going to make sure that I know I'm worthy and I know I can feel better and I know. It's all reassurance because you don't know that. And then the last thing they wanted me to talk about was suffering around family. So I just got good at hiding it and lying. What's the worst case scenario? You feel like a fraud or a liar? Why is that so terrible? People lie all the time. It's not the end of the world, unless you view it as the end of the world. So Erica would say, oh my God, you're doing so much better. In my mind, I was like, I'm fucked up. But I knew that me just telling her how bad of a day I was. And then people get weird about this because someone was saying the other day in one of the Facebook posts that reassurance is compassion. So if you're not giving reassurance, how could you be compassionate? That's a complete misunderstanding of what reassurance and compassion is. Compassion also has strictness and tough love. They're not separate. They're intermingled. So tough love can be, hey, look, I love you, but you're going to have to put the work in. I can't help you, right? I can guide you. I can take you to the water, but it's got to come from you. That's very, very different from you can do anything you put your mind to. You can do it. No, you could probably make a lot of progress if you take it seriously, but there's no guarantee. Because your OCD will just be like, what if I can't get better? No amount of reassurance is good for OCD recovery. I will say that again. No amount of reassurance is good for OCD recovery. And if anyone is telling you that you're working with and a little bit of reassurance is okay, you need to seriously get a second opinion because you will be stuck in that forever and you'll never be satisfied. Phil@OCDrecovery.com. Thank you for everything. Hope you guys like the series. Got one more for tomorrow, then we'll go from there and start a new series or just make some videos on different topics because I always have topics going on. And hope to see you in the WhatsApp groups. Have a good one, everyone.